2022 is the worst time for leaders to be alive. Do you think so?
I think leaders don't have time to be best or worst. They don't look at time in that way, basically. They don't have good time or bad time. It's just a time to be a leader. There is no bad or good. When there are crises, all across the media it says 2022 is filled with crisis.
Right.
So I think it is basically an opportunity for a lot of leaders to be born.
Right.
Because in crisis, we have more leaders.
Right. And now we are in a crisis
filled with crisis.
So இதை பற்றி பேசுகிறப்ப நிறைய பேர் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும். So we are going to talk about leaders. And right now நம்ம சின்ன வயசுலேருந்தே we would have seen a lot of people with potential leadership qualities, கிளாஸ் ரூமில் கிளாஸ் ரெப்ரசன்டேட்டிவ் ஆகட்டும், இல்லை ஒரு ஒர்க் வந்ததுக்கப்புறம் டீம் லீட் ஆகட்டும். Then we start looking at countries leaders, state leaders, national leaders, now organizational leaders, and this is the first time that CEOs are getting the recognition in the media irukku munnadiyum. So we are going to talk about leaders in this episode, and first basically நம்ம ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணும்போது what exactly is a leader ன்ற மாதிரி சொல்லி பேசி ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுறோம்னா it will be easier for them to understand. So what exactly is a leader?
So my perception of a leader, I think the best way to describe a leader is, take a ship for example. The leader is the captain, and a captain has a set of objectives, just like take care of his team, also delegate his team to make the ship go from point A to point B. So that is the objective. The end objective is to move that vessel from point A to point B, and do it through utilizing as much as minimum resource as possible. That is being most effective as possible.
Correct.
And when in certain conditions, leadership has a high level of requirement, because when situations are hard, because you cannot determine how the situation is going to be. So that is when the leader steps in. If the sea is going to be not rough, it is going to be calm, there is no use of the leader. You know how it is going to go and everything, but the sea is never calm. The sea is always rough. The sea is always unpredictable.
You have to always fight fire.
So that is when the leader is there to step in and say, stop getting confused, stop panicking. We are going in the right way. We will do it. We will achieve it. So the leader is there to take that ship from point A to point B without any hassles.
Right. And when put it into words, like as you said, it's more than just a direction, but to actually handle people, handle situations, handle the how to put it, mental messiness. Sometimes when emotional support. So it should be a consortium of all of these things put together, because when recession happens, or a company is going to be it is going to face a downfall, they have to not only think logically, but have to think of all the people who are in the journey with them, and to give the support. So recently we are seeing mass layoffs and everything, CEOs entirely firing the people on a Zoom call, and a lot of people are arguing that it is the only effective way to do it. And some people say these people have been with the company for a lot of time, and I think a leader should strike a balance between finding a logical thing and an emotional thing. So and right now they are put into a lot of spotlight, I think, because I don't think this would have been in news when we were in the manufacturing or the what do you call that, labor revolution or something like that. But right now every single action that you take in a company is going to be publicized, and you're going to be criticized for it. And I think a leader should be capable of being criticized also, and not be a part where he should take the criticism into heart and then be a person who is affected by the consequence of what people are telling. And the direction that he directs the team to go in, and the way he handles criticism from the internal team and the external environment plays a crucial role.
External and internal environment.
Yeah, basically. And I think it depends on how the person is mentally, personally, and behaving in a team organization.
So, but when we talk about leaders, and basically when you initially pointed out, it was like you have organizational leaders, global leaders. Organization leaders, I think they have different kind of what is expected from them is different. For them, it is the organization first, and everything is next. That
profit and a lot of other things.
Not profit. I think people come and go, but the organization got to
Has
stay
to
there
live, yeah.
forever. That is the objective of the organization. A leader is not permanent, and no leader is ever going to be permanent. But in case of political leaders, I believe it is not. Most of the countries across the globe, are following democracy. Hopefully, are following democracy. In such situation, it is not the organization that has got to be there forever.
Right.
It is about people have to be there forever, because that is what democracy stands for. So a leadership role, when we consider in terms of organization, that is in terms of business organization and in terms of political organization, I think the way to look at it and the decisions to take about when crisis comes should be much different. But what I personally see in the current world is, or it has been not just current, I think it has been happening all throughout known history, is both ways it has been taken the same way. It is never done for the people, it is always done for the organization. It has never been done for the people. In case if it has ever been done for the people, I don't think we would have ever been in such a situation as of now. It is because because of it is being done for the organization. For example, take a particular ideology, a particular party in a political scenario. They don't do it for the people. It is being done for the organization, for the ideology of the organization. And this is the reason. One reason why I think the current day leaders, political leaders, should think, start to think in a radically different way, thinking it is for the people, it is not for the organization. Whichever party comes across the globe, let it be the US, let it be the India, Republicans, Democrats, they have certain specific agenda. But when you have certain specific agenda, there itself you start discriminating the people. You just need to have agendas of the agenda is the people. Take for example the Indian political scenario. You have two major parties across, in the national level it is the same. You have two to three major parties, and it is the same in the state level also. You have 2 or 3 major parties, and both these parties have two different objectives. So that way itself, you start to discriminate, you start forming smaller organizations, and it is not the way to run a political organization. So leaders in political organizations should start thinking differently. They should stop thinking like an organization, like how a business organization thinks for profit. The political organization is thinking of votes. But and not all companies that have been thinking for profits has been successful. Companies that wanted to add value to their customers,
bring change and bring impact,
they have lasted forever. Companies, I read a lot about Apple, I read a lot about Steve Jobs, and the kind of thing that they wanted to bring into the society was change. That's all. They do not want to say, I want to compete, I want to get into this market, I want to be radically bring a difference into this market. I want to be change the status quo of what is there in the current market and make it much better for the consumers. And still today, they are there as the market leaders just because of the same thing. Same way, if political leaders are also ready to think, it is for the people. I want to add value for the people, not just increase my vote bank by starting to discriminate and kind of how we segment customers in business. They segment votes
into different things.
Once that is done, you are actually not adding value to the people. You are just adding value to your vote bank and to your organization, and that is not the way how political leaders should work. We should be as people, we should also start thinking in this way. A political leader who is just thinking about you is not a political leader. A political leader should think about all of you, whoever he is responsible for, he should have the ability to think for all of them rather than just, you or your, based on however it is being discriminated. I think only once people change, I think everything will change.
I read about something like collaborative political administration where so this person was talking about every single time there are two parties.
Okay.
One party is in power and the other party's entire job is to say what they are doing is wrong.
Correct.
And he questions, why should you not tell them, help them, do it better? Why are you waiting for a time where you have to be in charge to do things?
Okay.
So, for example, let's say right now the opposing party will say like whatever the current ruling party is saying is wrong. But tell them like this is something that we can do. We can do this instead of something like this. So every single in all over the world, it is the same thing.
It is the same way, correct.
So he was talking about there should be a collaborative environment where they all put their ideas into, because they are also going to be a part of the state also. Like if they are elected.
So when we said about leadership qualities, I think we have to talk about it. But leaders should not blame others. I think it should be one of their.
Accountability is one of the biggest
accountability.
things.
If you have to be a leader, you have to take everything into your accountability. If you want to be a leader,
my fault.
It is my fault. I accept it. It is because of me. It is because of me. I did not do it. That is the reason why it has happened. But present day leaders, they just do the blame game. The Chinese virus, the Russian-Ukraine war. Everything is, the COVID-19 situation.
You create scenarios to blame on.
Blame everything around. You can just say point fingers and you don't say it's not me. So a person like that cannot be a leader. A person like that is just I just wanted to use the F word. But, looking at the current leaders that I am looking at in our current day world, it makes me really emotional. Emotionally, it's giving that feeling.
Right, and I think people have started to become emotionally frustrated with what they are doing. And I read somewhere where they were telling it is not sustainable for people to protest against something.
Not sustainable. Okay.
To protest. So, for example, what they mean by that is, like if you can go without food for 28 days and protest for some change, the government or the people you are protesting against will not do anything.
Okay.
And the month ends and you have to start paying rent and you have to have for food. So you cannot actually put so much into stake so that you will stop protesting and you have to go back to work.
But take a country like India, our freedom struggle. Even before that, we saw the protest that was happening
against the British. This current day, okay.
About
they went to Delhi and did
the farmers. I think that protest is still lasting, and it's lasted over a month. And that is, people collaborating. People are becoming more powerful than we are seeing that across the globe now. When when people understand, the awareness of the people are much better. I think governments have to change. Right. And when you said the economic cycle hits them, they would have to go back and protests are not sustainable. Protests become sustainable when there is a huge mass of aware people backing the protest.
Right. Like for example, when the Jallikattu happened, people brought food, people provided their moral support.
The Jallikattu protest, I don't think it was a protest of awareness. I think it was a very emotional protest by the Tamil people, the Tamilians. It was about things that they do not understand, basically.
True.
Something big was happening, but the protest was about something very small.
Right.
And linking both those things, does not make any sense. But yet, it was a very successful protest, like Mani said. But the way how I looked at it was, some people in the media just used it to gain traction.
Right.
And some people used it to get some holidays from their work.
Right.
And enjoy some time.
And like companies were paying for the time off also.
Sure. So I think it became a mandate. If you are a company in
and you are not letting
you're not letting means you're not a Tamilian anymore, and the kind of
it started questioning their identity.
It was just an emotional protest. It was not an actual protest with an agenda. It was not a planned protest. It was not against something that was actually against them. It was against something banning Jallikattu and PETA, I don't think it has any sense.
Right. I understand. And now in the current day scenario, I think company leaders, the CEOs and the CTOs have, started gaining their personal branding status. Like we have Ritesh Agarwal in India, and we have Elon Musk for Tesla and SpaceX or whatever, Amazon, Jeff Bezos. So these people have found the first bubble of technology where they broke the Web 2, and right now the new set of leaders who are not going to be as old as these guys, because I think everyone who started building their companies into 1997 and everything were like 25, 26. And right now with the information, like we speak all the time, information is like free, like you can get to know anything you want. And we see a lot of 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds becoming CEOs. What do you think will be a part of this leadership culture where very young people, like, before their teenage, they become leaders of a company? And will they have the emotional stability to take these things? Because I've heard a lot of people where corporate companies come into play and they take the share of these people's because they are like very ignorant or negligent of their fact of how they should take the company. Should a leader try to be a mentor for them without having any personal agenda or personal monetary gain out of it? Or how does this scale? Because I think a lot of people have become millionaires at this young age. The fathers and mothers don't understand what the product is. The people who in the corporate want to acquire the company. So how should these young people learn leadership? Like, I think it's a very good topic to ponder upon, I guess.
Leadership cannot be learned. I think leadership is an acquired.
Right, like you were born with something.
You have to be born with it. Acquiring leadership at an old age is not. You cannot teach a person leader. It is about the emotional, emotional intelligence that you have. It's got to do with a lot of factors. So you cannot just go teach anybody. It is a skill. It is basically a skill, and the skill is supposed to be part of your.
No, that's why I phrased it in something like, should a leader identify a future leader or future thing to save them from the collapse, or
Yeah. So for a very good example I can give you is the Tamil Nadu scenario of the Tamil Nadu politics. I used to be a big fan of the AIADMK.
Okay.
Where I have seen, I've heard about, seen two great leaders, NGR and Jayalalitha. And now I see, because of bad succession planning, what has happened.
Right.
So even if these people had mentors, all these people were under the shadow of great leaders.
Who did amazing things, by the way.
And, they are still not yet good leaders, basically. They are not yet strong leaders. They are not yet leaders of worth. Because they are easily gullible. Any external factor can just change them. So even people like this, when you said mentorship, it is hard.
Right. It is not like transferable, basically.
It's not transferable. Take another example we can give is Alexander. Alexander came into power at a very young age.
17, I guess. 17 or 16.
And he was supposed to be one of the world's greatest leaders.
Right.
So, leadership is a trait, I'm sure, he would have heard it from his father, from his grandfather, it comes up in the blood. Basically, it is kind of genetic also. You know how to do certain things because in the environment that you were growing up when you were young, you were trained like that. You see people around acting like leaders, becoming like leaders. So you know what to talk, you know how to act, you know how to react, you know what is important, you know which to give the most priority to.
And do you think, for example, it's like humans are like, there is a book called Copycat Marketing where it tells like everything that we do has been inspired by something, or like we see monkey do and stuff like that.
Okay.
But do you think leaders have a different perspective on life where they don't do what other people are doing, but they choose the entirely different path? I think there's a quote by Steve Jobs, like the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can bring change are the actual crazy ones who actually do.
So again, like when we started, types of leaders, we can say like, political leaders, business leaders, economic leaders. I think there are also some people called thought leaders, basically.
Thought leaders, yeah.
I think these thought leaders are the people who you said right now, who just break the status quo, who come up with something new, who break everything and lead a new generation of people outside into
they have a
to a
pattern
new
interrupt,
world.
basically.
It's like saying back when slavery existed, everyone accepted it, but then some people came and said that was a new thought.
They would have been normalized saying this is okay, this is how it is.
Slavery is normal. Slavery was normal. Everybody accepted slavery. You can go somewhere, buy a black person and have them in your backyard. The same was in India. You can British people can just walk into any street and say, come, you have to come work for me. You do not give a person a choice and people accept it. Okay,
this is how it is.
Dora vandittaru, Dora kootitu poittaru, avladhaan. But then there was some thought leaders who came and said this is wrong. It has been stopped in other countries, so this is
like
wrong.
how Periyar and Ambedkar made changes.
They're all thought leaders. So these are the leaders who break a lot of things, and these thought leaders are everywhere. They are there in the political firm, they are there in business, they are there in education, they are there everywhere. But only these thought leaders, they break it and bring a huge innovative change into the world.
Right. And there is a huge scope for example, like in the, how do I put it, in the kingdom times, right? So a king will supremely believe in his a mentor who will guide him on what to do. So which right now we think we can call it political strategizing, basically. Basically Prashant Kishore right now. So do you think there is a correlation between a political strategist telling a leader what to do and the leader actually telling this is where I want to go, I just want to know how? Am I making sense? I think
I understand. Someone to direct the leader.
So does the leadership's ability come from this person, or this person is just enabling him to strategize the fact that he has to become a
when you said Prashant Kishore, you don't consider him as a leader, basically.
Yeah, true.
So he's a strategist, so he's not a leader. It is up to a leader to choose whether to have
who to
Prashant
be with.
Kishore to, should I have Prashant Kishore with me? Who is the strategist that I should have? So the leader is going to choose the right
ability to have the right people with you at the right time
is one of the most important aspect of the leader. Previously, when you talked about the dynasty times, Chanakya was supposed to be a very good tactician, and when we read the story about Chanakya, Arthashastra, and the rise of the Vijayanagar kingdom, it comes this boy is not the direct heir to the empire,
right?
But this strategist took him and made one of the biggest kings of the Indian history.
So do strategists find leaders when they are not even ready?
Okay, so in today's world, money is what is going to find you anything. It's got nothing other than that. So that's why we see Prashant Kishore going to the biggest bidder. You can talk. Back then, it was more about emotions. Money would have not been the major factor of having a good strategist, and that's all. And sometimes strategist also wants to be with people who are in power, so they kind of know, okay, this is the person.
They go hand in hand.
This is the person who knows. It's like the king and the queen in the chessboard.
Right. Now, my question comes at a point where there was this Gurukul, right? So the Gurukul, so the person who is inside is a leader inside, basically, technically.
Teacher.
Yeah, teacher.
A teacher is a leader.
Yeah. So in some way, right, coming from our conversation of how we are seeing leaders. So in that specific organization, so that person allocates certain people to certain things. Like, you are good at archery, you should do this. So is leadership going to be something like, how do I put it, a leader helping others find their passion or directing them?
Okay.
So do leaders also act as strategists?
Okay. So I would like to bring the movie Matrix into this. Okay. So the Matrix has 4 major characters. One is the hero. We call him. He's called Neo. And then the teacher. He's called Morpheus. And then there is a guide. It's the Oracle. And then there is someone called the architect. So he is the person who has built the entire system. And then there is one person who is the right opposite of the hero, the villain.
Okay. This is the specs guy.
The myth.
Okay.
So these are the main characters of the Matrix. So basically, when we look at the Matrix, the Morpheus. So he is the mentor. He finds the hero actually. The hero does not know he's the hero. The hero never accepts he's the hero.
Right.
Until, end of the first part, he never believes he is the hero or he is the chosen one. But then this person believes that he is the chosen one and, guides him, trains him and makes him a hero.
Right.
So, and that's how the movie goes. And the role of the hero in the movie is to, the role of the hero is, the role of the leader is to break the current status quo.
Okay.
So that's what he does. Basically, he breaks the current status quo and brings a new way how people are able to look at the world and have a different kind of life.
Right. That is a very good perspective, because I've never thought of it in that way. And leadership right now has different shades. Like you are either you are praised heavily or you are criticized heavily. So every single action that you take can have a huge impact. And do you think leadership in a way is very hard for some people to manage? Is it like a lifestyle that people choose to have? Because I know a lot of people who want to bring change. For example, I want to help these dogs have an adopted shelter. I want these homeless people to be fed every single day. But I don't want to do it. I don't think I'm the right person to do it. So a part of their decision making is basically something called a decision fatigue, saying should I be the right person to do it? Like when you said Neo does not accept he is a hero, but it is someone who pushed them to become to do that. So do leadership quality exist in a lot of people but only comes out in a few?
There is an inhibition inside that particular person, I am not that, and some energy should be given to this person.
It is the execution that will make you the person, but I don't want to do the execution.
So, again, from the Matrix, the hero has to go through really tough times and come out successful. He has to overcome death, basically, to make him the hero.
Right.
More
than death, it's it's a simulation, something that you don't even understand.
So the hero basically, from most of the stories, from Abraham Lincoln, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, what we would have seen is they would have gone through shit,
right?
The deepest shit, Ambedkar, Periyar, whomever we know, Buddha. They would have, Buddha voluntarily, said, I want to experience the worst thing that a person can ever experience.
Right.
Only once you have that emotional feeling, the deepest low, the worst low that you can go, and still you say, I can come up. Right. I will come up. And then rise up successfully. And those are the people who become heroes.
And the constant drive to keep doing things even if you fail, right?
The reason why the hierarchy system failed and people did not, the hierarchy model when we had, before our democratic rule, was, you had a king, somehow he had the kingdom, and then his child becomes the king.
Right.
And, once you have not seen the worst that a person can go through, you as a king, you would never know. If you just been given the golden spoon when you were born, you would never know what is the worst thing that a person can ever go. Only if you know that, you would know the decisions that to take. Without knowing that, you cannot be a good leader. And that is why the system of hierarchy basically failed and democracy came up. And right now, democracy is in the brink of extinction very soon.
Right.
Because it is following hierarchy.
And we believed it could exist. Okay.
We all believe it could exist. There should be people to break this status quo. That we all still accept democracy, but it has whatever system, whatever thing that we create it small. We wanted to we do a test trial. And once this test becomes successful, this organization grows slowly. And once something becomes so big, it's very hard for it to move or change.
Right. True.
it's very hard for it to move or change. Leaders, we call it, in marketing, we call it marketing myopia, short-sightedness.
Short-sightedness.
And now this is, leadership myopia.
Myopia.
You're so big, you don't see, you only have the time to see what your generals and what your, in Indian politics, what your ministers want. You never have the time to see what basically the actual people want. I think we are at the time of extinction of the idea of democracy. We need to have another, we are seeing a lot of countries. This is not the first time, basically. This is not the first time. We have to have another alternative method. Maybe democracy, but eliminating hierarchy in democracy.
Right.
Hierarchy must be eliminated in democracy, or else we are going to, Sri Lanka, the Rajapaksha family, Tamil Nadu, the DMK family, wherever I see, there are just families or fraternities or certain group of cults of people just coming again and again and again, and they are never going to understand the people. They are just going to make the people be the same.
Right.
You are there. If I am going to change you, you will start questioning me.
Right.
I will not change you. I will keep you like this so that I know how to deal with you.
Right.
And the best way to keep you like this is keep you unaware of everything and just tell you
everything is good, everything is all right.
I am there.
Right.
And giving such fake things. That is how it has been working. Putin. I do not know, any name we drop, any leader's name we drop in the current democratic world, so-called democratic world. No one is doing the things that they were supposed to do. Democracy was supposed to be there so that we have peace across the globe, so that there is unity, so that there is inequality. I think none of us. It was achieved. We saw real great leaders across the globe. Across the globe, we saw really great.
Time and time again.
Time and time again, we saw. Not time and time again. When initially the status quo was changed, when the thought leaders were there, when they pushed the economy, when they pushed the system in the initial, they wanted to bring the change. But once this organization grew big, it collapses. It's just like, any religion, you say we take Buddhism, we take Hinduism, we take Muslims, we take Christians, we take any religion. All these, the forerunners of the religion said, please do not worship me.
Right.
But then to make it a cult, we all worship them, and now it has become so big, you do not know either. It is just corrupt.
Right.
It is just corrupt. It is not solving the purpose why it was formed. The purpose why it was formed was to spread love. But I think none of the religion is spreading love anywhere.
Right. I think negativity has become so loud that positivity to even exist, it's very difficult because the noise is too loud for anybody to.
I think the word God, religion should all be wiped out from our head.
Right. If only we could do that in an instant, like.
People are able to, when people are able to implant such ideas, when our current leaders are able to implant these ideas into the head of us, when we all come with clean slates in our head.
Right.
We know nothing. We just know to cry for food. We don't even know to walk. We don't even know what to see. We just cry when we are hungry. But we were all implanted with all these ideas through our books. So,
books, upbringing, and culture and everything.
Environment. So if all these things are removed, I think we'll have a peaceful leadership. Leaders are the root cause of all evils. It's not.
That took a wild turn.
Basically, leaders are the root cause of all evils.
And I want to understand like the self-awareness factors of how leaders are basically. So there is this thing called Imposter Syndrome. So the Imposter Syndrome is basically that no matter what you achieve, you wouldn't take credit for it.
Okay.
So I know some people, who know they do certain stuff, who know they have done something for that, change, but they will not tell them that it was theirs because they know it was because of what the people did to them and the decisions that they made in the right time.
Nikola Tesla, not not our Tesla, okay. The Nikola Tesla.
Yeah. So is imposter syndrome a characteristic trait for exceptional leaders, or can leaders take actual credit for I did that? Does that put them in a different perspective where their attitude is I made this happen? Does narcissism come into play, or are all leaders?
Humans are narcissists.
Sorry?
Humans are narcissists.
Yeah, that is there.
Leaders cannot be narcissists.
Right.
Leaders, I think, are different species basically.
Yeah.
They have to be different species. They cannot be Homo sapiens. They if you are a Homo sapien,
difference.
Yeah, they have to be Homo difference. If you are a Homo sapien, I don't think you are a leader. As you said, imposter syndrome. I think it should be added as a quality of leadership. Right. Only people like that should be leaders. Or what do you say? I see a lot of these Instagram posts which says 10 traits to be a leader. I think none of these posts have this. I've never seen any of these posts have this imposter syndrome ever.
Right, because I see a lot of content creators these days where there are two different aspects. Where a certain content creator community will say I did all the things and I deserve this. And then an entire another scenario says I was just at the right place at the right time.
Correct.
So and their entire behavior across the channels on social media is entirely different. So some will take actual credit for it and some will say I was just lucky to be here.
Behaviorally, how would you differentiate both these?
No, they'll have a show of attitude I made it,
Okay.
They'll buy stuff and everything.
Okay.
And this people are nothing matters,
Okay.
For example, if you take Abdul Kalam as an example,
Correct.
I think his entire net worth was nothing. He didn't
They're
even
doing this on the birthday of Kamarajar when you said Abdul Kalam.
Yeah, and Kamarajar was the same thing. When people said I want to learn, what do you want? Have education for free, but I'm not able to have food in my home. Have food for free. So he made he made the pain points available for the people to actually make such things.
No, I visited a doctor recently during my sales visits. He had a photo of Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Kamarajar. So I asked him. I thought it was more of a caste reason of having it. So I just asked him to know the reason. He said the reason why I'm a doctor today is because of Kamarajar.
Right.
He said his own history where
their actions made a lot of people.
A lot of impact.
Yeah.
This doctor, I met him would be around his 80s. He is an orphan. Because of Kamarajar's initiative of free education,
he was able to come inside.
Today he's a doctor, and the amount of impact this person would have brought into the world. The number of lives he would have saved. It is exceptional. These small drops rippling.
Yeah, and as you said, when people think about this leadership myopia, and I think a lot of this comes in people who have vision of 50 to 60 years.
Correct.
Saying what we do now is going to be a seed for something that is going to 60 years. But I think the short-term business leadership that people are praising these CEOs as heroes and leaders, they focus too much on the short-term gains.
Too much short-term,
And we spoke about Byju's a lot. Last year it was the best edtech startup, and the next year it's is Byju's going to survive? And they start their own offline things and everything. So which is a very good example of how this leadership myopia is happening between these companies. So I think we should understand that not everything can happen in a single day, and we should have long-term vision.
Patience, patience is what that is going to. Patience should be a big.
It's a virtue.
Character trait that leaders should have. Wait. If it is not you, don't worry.
Don't feel bad. Yeah.
Don't worry. Don't take the blame. Don't take the credit.
Right.
What has to happen. You just be a part of it. I think that is one thing that a leader should be. And when you said Byju's, Tesla is something the same. When I look at Tesla as a company, I'm always confused about this person dancing guys. I do not know. Many of my friends treat him like God.
Right.
I can't even consider him as a person of integrity.
Right.
A person of value. The way how he is portrayed or how he was portrayed as a person of integrity, as a person who hustles, as a person who knows everything, the best engineer, blah 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 blah. The day when he manipulated people's money with just a tweet, his integrity is no longer there. He became a man of profit.
Right.
The things that he said was, the promises that was given by the company, by that individual was, I'm going to give you cleaner energy. I'm going to give you, renewable, interplanetary travel, blah 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 blah. But the only thing, those all look like things to blind the unaware human being that you have a fraud right amongst you.
Right. Is it like a scam waiting to unravel?
Correct. I think it has unraveled, and many people now know it. And now I look, if I do a sentiment analysis on any of the Google video where he is there, the comments right now are
very mixed.
Previously it was all he's a guy, he's this, he's that, he does this, he's a dream, blah blah blah. But now it is changing. So one act of losing your integrity changes everything. I think integrity is something very important a leader should have. Integrity is the main feature. I think one of the main traits that we should have. I think integrity, imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And I think I recently have become very fond of the saying.
Okay.
Kadame sei palane edirpaakave, where you just do your work and you just let things happen. So
okay.
And I think we've been like hearing that sentence from a young age, and I see a lot of people saying, I'm doing a lot of this, I'm not getting any traction or anything like that. Just do your thing, just do it. You will get it. Like that is where the drive that we spoke about comes in. Okay. That is where the patience comes in. And a lot of things that can actually be one of the branches to you reaching the top of whatever your goal is. So I think it's a very collaborative effort, and
I think the leader's goal is never an individualistic goal.
Right, it's a collective goal.
It's a collective goal. Collective goals.
Yeah. So I think like we've covered a lot of things today.
I think we just bought 4 traits. I think
I think we can define leadership.
No, Instagram has 10. We at least got to go to 7.
Yeah. So I think it's been more than 40 minutes, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so leader is a big topic,
It's a big topic, yeah. And I think we can do a second.
So one thing that before concluding, I want to say, the people whom we think global leaders are national leaders, are local leaders, they are not basically leaders.
Right.
They are just imposters.
Right.
And they do not want any of us to know what we are supposed to know. We always say we are in the digital era, the era of social media, the era of internet, the era of information. Even during this era, these imposters who call themselves leaders are hiding information from us. A leader should be transparent.
Right, a transparency, right.
A leader should be transparent. They don't have that. So, do not believe any of your leaders. You know what you want, but search for it. Do not get it.
It's hidden in plain sight, basically.
It is, yeah. Do not get it from your imposter leaders. Do not get it from your imposter leaders who just... It is really ugly to see posters with a person's face and tagline across every street wherever I go.
Right.
I don't know how bad it is.
You have to be a Challapalai Ram sometime. Anyways, with that positive note, I think we can end this episode. I think it was like great to... I think I am honestly surprised by the fact that we have covered all this. Honesty. I think we have an entire paper full of things that we covered in this entire episode. And
you need to show us, when...
Yeah, definitely. We'll put this in the video. And I honestly didn't think like we'll cover all this topic, because like we are very basic lay persons talking about leadership. It's a long way to go.
Yeah, correct. We're just sharing perspectives.
Yeah, basically. And there's no right and wrong, and there's a long way to go. Obviously, we are young, and I think in the next few years we'll have a different perspective on what we are achieving as people who understand leadership and everything. So thank you so much. I think we'll meet again in another episode. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Take care. Bye bye.